everybody. It looks like we are live on Instagram and YouTube. Hi. Hi, everyone. Let's give folks a few minutes to join. How is everyone doing? How are you coping with the events of the moment? Tell me. I want to know all about it. Hi, Linda. Hi, Maria. Hi, Andra. Hello, lovelies. Hi. Thank you for joining. Instagram or YouTube. Have your pick. Join me on whichever of these you prefer. I've actually noticed that lately I start doing the lives on YouTube and Instagram, and Instagram only allows me to go live for 1 hour on the dot. So sometimes I just have to jump off Instagram and move to YouTube only. So just in case that happens today, not saying it will, but just so that you're clued up and you know you can find me someplace else. Hello, everyone. Hi, Talia. Hi, Mary. Hi, Kim. Stanley. Madeline. Teresa. Glitter Kitten. Victor. Hi. Hi, Talia. Hi. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hi, lovelies. A couple more minutes. I realize it's 7 p.m. UK time on the dot. Thank you to all of those who can join me live. And if someone can't make it, obviously, like, this video is going to stay up on my IGTV, on Instagram TV, and on YouTube. So you can watch the recording anytime, or you can share it with your friends. So today we are going to be talking about the upcoming Capricorn eclipse. The lunar eclipse happening this weekend on the birthday of the US of A. Well, it's actually like happening either on the 4th or on the 5th of July, depending on where you're at, but we're gonna feel the effects of it across like both the days leading up to it and the months after the actual eclipse takes place. So Capricorn lunar eclipse coming right up. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Hi, Vina. Hi. People are asking me about the guitar, and I really want to take a moment to clarify this. I do not play the guitar. It's actually my husband who plays the guitar a little bit, but I think it looks nice on the background. It makes me look cooler than I actually am, so I'm just going to leave it there. No need to be afraid of the eclipse. I mean, it's not, yeah, I actually have to take my own advice, because I know eclipses can be scary because they usher in new beginnings and endings, sometimes much more sudden than we'd like them to be. So completely understand why folks might be a little bit uneasy when it comes to eclipses. People back in the days in like Babylonian, Greek, antiquity, they actually used to be quite afraid of eclipses as well, because really kind of like catastrophic events used to happen at the time, and like unexpected like weather changes and earthquakes and the like were linked with eclipses. So there you go. Hi, Laria. Hi. Hi, Misha. Hi, Lee. Okay, so everyone, thank you for joining. Hi, Frenchie. Thank you for joining on Instagram and YouTube, and let's dive straight into it. Let's start chatting about the upcoming Capricorn lunar eclipse happening this weekend. And oh boy, you are probably feeling, some of you already in your life, the effects of it. Now, you can already start watching the news. It's actually like a really interesting exercise that I recommend that you do in the lead up to the eclipse. So on the days leading up to the eclipse, which is what's happening right now, because the eclipse is happening on Saturday and Sunday this weekend. You can hear already of like culminations in like global affairs. You can hear of culminations in society. For instance, in the UK, like I've literally just like read this like a few minutes ago. UK businesses actually slashed almost 12,000 jobs in 2 days. So those are the types of events that eclipses such as this, especially lunar eclipses. Lunar eclipses bring culminations and endings. And these endings can seem very sudden and very tough to handle as well, because people are usually unprepared for whatever the eclipse brings in. So these are the types of events that we can expect around eclipse time. Also, yesterday, what happened in China? I mean, I'm not gonna get into the nuts and bolts of that, but that law security that people in Hong Kong were protesting against was actually passed, and today you can read about the Chinese government actually starting to make arrests after they have passed the law. Another like news of big relevance, and again, I actually see this linked with the eclipse as well, is the fact that the UK has made citizenship offer to Hong Kong residents with British overseas passports. So these are very big events that are going to impact our world and our society for months to come. They are going to start shaping our reality for months to come. So stay tuned. Now, we're gonna get into the aspects of this eclipse. So first and foremost, the lunar eclipse in Capricorn, happening at 13 degrees of Capricorn, is a full moon in its nature. And full moons bring with them, as I said, a peak, a culmination. It's like the highest degree of intensity in a specific set of circumstances that can be reached. The most impacted signs and the most impacted of us, because I count myself amongst those most impacted by the eclipse, are going to be those who have planets in cardinal signs in their natal chart between 5 and 21 degrees. So if you have planets in either Aries, Libra, Capricorn, if you've got planets in these signs between 5 and 21 degrees, then you are likely to feel the eclipse the most. Also Cancer. Gosh, how could I forget Cancer? So everyone's is gonna be impacted in the next few months by the eclipse, but the ones that are gonna probably feel it the strongest are going to be the ones that I've just mentioned. So I recommend going into your chart and checking to see what planets do you have in cardinal signs between 5 and 21 degrees. What's also going to happen at this time is the seeds that are planted now. So let's say nothing major is happening in your life right now, and we're actually going to go through how the eclipse is going to impact each sign. And I recommend you listen in particular to your rising sign, if you know your rising sign. Then listen to your sun sign as well. But the one that is probably going to be the most relevant and the one that's going to resonate the most with you is going to be what I'm going to share about your rising sign. So what's happening now, even if it doesn't feel major, even if it doesn't feel big, is actually gonna start to unravel over the course of the next few months. Now, a few more things that you can expect at the lunar eclipse this weekend. Big secrets revealed. What was hidden is going to come to the surface. And also big players, both in your life and on the global political scene, may actually retire, they may be pushed to the side, they may be eclipsed. It's very common, and I actually recommend that you do this in your life as well, and you kind of like keep your eyes peeled. It's very common around lunar eclipses for a certain like presence, a certain person, or a certain set of circumstances to be eclipsed out of our life. It's like, this is the end. It's over. Now, this Cancer Capricorn eclipse cycle, because eclipses always happen on a certain axis, and this cycle has been happening on the Cancer Capricorn axis. It started in July 2018, and it is now coming to a close. So all those of you who I've mentioned that have planets in cardinal signs between 5 and 21 degrees in particular right now. So those of you with planets in Aries, Capricorn, Libra, Cancer, or a rising sign in Cancer, or midheaven in Cancer, you can finally breathe after this. And I gotta say, whatever happens, whatever unfolds in your life in the next few days, like in the days leading up to this weekend and in the week after, it's like, that is the absolute worst that could happen. There is no going lower than that, so to speak. So, if that's something that you can find optimism in, then I absolutely urge you to keep that in mind. 5 to 21 degrees. Yes, I see. I see the chat happening on my YouTube around that. So, the eclipse, the moon in Capricorn, is opposing the sun and Mercury in Cancer. On the one hand, the overall energy of the eclipse is the following. Capricorn wants us to take responsibility and wants to get things back into a very practical kind of state, a very orderly, organized kind of state. Maybe even like impose new rules, impose new regulations upon us. As I said, the Chinese government passing that law in the security law, or whatever it's called, that is very intense Capricorn energy that wants to restrict and control. And they say, whatever, that they want to bring order, or whatever it is that they say. Sorry, I'm gonna roll my eyes a little bit here. Don't mind me. The Cancer energy, on the other hand, that is being opposed by the moon and Capricorn energy, wants to feel safe, wants to feel at peace, wants a sense of like security, wants to feel emotionally understood, wants to feel like its needs are gonna be met. And guess what? We're probably gonna feel around the time of the eclipse that our needs are not being met. And we might feel drained. We might feel alone. We might feel unsafe. We might feel like we are losing some of the most important structures that exist in our lives. Or we might feel incredibly restricted. We might feel like we're trying to find a sense of like stability and security and emotional understanding, and that is completely lacking in our life. So I have to say, if you're feeling emotional around this time, if you are feeling alone and frustrated, and if you are feeling like whatever you do, it doesn't seem to be enough, and like people don't want to listen to you, they don't have like compassion and understanding, we're gonna have a great need of compassion and understanding around this time. And I gotta say, I don't know if it's gonna be, if there will be a lot of compassion and understanding around us. It's up to us humans how we react to what's unfolding around us. And as I said, I'm gonna give the example of the British government. I don't usually do this, folks, but I'm gonna go rogue here. The fact that the UK is making citizenship offer to Hong Kong residents in this historic moment in time. Now, that is the type of leadership move that shows understanding, that shows where the world should be headed. Sorry, they did not hire me to lobby for them. I have to say. Now, there is some healing energy unfolding at the time of the eclipse as well. So we've got Neptune at the time of the eclipse being trined by the sun. So the trine is a collaborative aspect. It's a harmonious aspect. It's an aspect of understanding. And again, we've got the moon sextiling Neptune. So I have to say, we might feel throughout the entire world that a new higher ideal in regards to institutions, in regards to societal structures, in regards to social expectations, in regards to how the government is ruling over the people. This is something that seems to be to have the potential to come out of this eclipse. So whatever is unfolding, there is a possible silver lining, but it all has to do with how much vision and how much compassion people in positions of power are willing to show at this time. Now, the eclipse is also in a really nice aspect with Uranus. And I gotta say, I was saving the best for last, as usual. Uranus, the planet of revolution. Uranus, which is the planet that ushers in progress, and that actually ushers in social change, and that brings enlightenment to the people. All of a sudden, people are like, okay, now I see it. Now I get it. I feel enlightened. The sun is going to be sextiling Uranus at the time of the eclipse, and the moon is going to be trining Uranus at the time of the eclipse. The ground is shaking, I gotta say. Uranus and Taurus, it's literally the ground shaking. But the money, because Taurus is money, let's not forget. The money seems to start to move in the right direction. Money talks, and people with power, as I said, a lot of it is in their hands. A lot of where this could be headed is in the hands of the people who have resources and who have power. And it's up to them to act according to a higher ideal. People's values are shifting, indeed. And big social change is suddenly, because eclipses are sudden, folks, is being brought into the most traditional institutions of society. So there is a lot of frustration in the air. There is a lot of restriction that is kind of imposed upon people, but at the same time, those who have vision can really make a change in the world for a much more beautiful future, I want to say. So, my folks, let's start with how the eclipse is going to impact each and every one of you. By the way, as I said, you know me, I'm your internet mom. Listen to your rising sign first, and then listen to your sun to see how the eclipse is likely to impact you. So, Aries, my lovely Arians, it is very likely that this weekend and in the week and the months to come, there is a culmination happening in your career sector, and it ushers in the end of a very long struggle in regards to your career, in regards to your place in the world, in regards to how the world looked at you, in regards to your status, your reputation. You've been working so hard for this, seriously, so hard since 2018, I want to say. And finally, you can probably feel a weight is being lifted off your chest. I also want to say, Aries, at the time of this eclipse, you have the opportunity to let go of an old self-limiting belief. Because Neptune is in this nice aspect with the eclipse, right? And Neptune at the moment is in your 12th house of the subconscious and of past lives. At the same time, Uranus is in your house of money and self-worth, and it's making you feel proud of all the work that you've been putting into this part of your life. So into your career, into your public status, into your reputation, in your place in the world. So that, my lovelies, is Aries. Someone's asking if the USA is a Capricorn. No, Marjorie. The USA is a Cancer. Yes, the UK is a Capricorn. I actually haven't looked at the chart of the UK. I might look at it. Countries do have zodiac signs as well. Now, we've talked about Aries. Let's talk a little bit about Taurus, my lovely Taurians. The lunar eclipse is marking an end, a pinnacle, a culmination in your 9th house. The 9th house has to do with studying, with expanding your consciousness, with expanding your level of knowledge. Are you graduating? If you're not graduating from your actual studies, you could give yourself a pat on the back for graduating a very important chapter in the school of life. It has been a very tough mental chapter for you since 2018, but it's been absolutely worth it, because now you see the world in a much broader lens, I want to say. And you might feel physically depleted, but at the same time, your mind is very energized, Taurus, and you may receive some incredibly enlightening insight, Uranus in your first house, as to what your place is in the world and who the new you is. So that's beautiful, and I really want to hear from all you Taurians how that's been going for you. Madeline, thank you for the super chat. By the way, folks, if you're on YouTube, you can super chat me, and I can actually see your question. But also, please, if you can, save them for after I go through the signs. So, for Aries, will there be a change in love through the eclipse? Now, Madeline, I wouldn't necessarily say so. If your Venus is somewhat involved in this eclipse, as in if you've got your Venus or your Mars between 5 and 21 degrees of cardinal signs, then I would say yes, it is possible that there is like a sense of like culmination in your love life. But this particular eclipse for Aries is much more focused on improving your sense of self-worth and making yourself feel proud of what you've achieved so far career-wise and how far you have come. Now, my lovely Geminis, Gemini suns and Gemini risings, you've got the eclipse happening in your 8th house sector. I have to say, since 2018, you've been going through an incredibly transformative chapter in your life. Like, you've been battling some serious demons, Geminis, and possibly shining a light on some very deep wounds. You can consider that work almost done, I have to say. There may be like a last push around the eclipse. There may be like a final kind of test, a final psychological test for you, my dear Geminis. But after this, you're gonna see kind of the energy around like your psyche, around your shared resources, around your fears, around your demons, kind of like dwindling. It's also very possible that you may be receiving a payout or a bonus or a gift, an unexpected gift from someone who you really respect, someone in a position of great authority, Geminis. And last but not least, Uranus is collaborating very nicely with the eclipse, and you are completing, or you're gonna feel like you're completing a karmic cycle in which you've had to sacrifice either parts of yourself, parts of your like psyche, or possibly some resources of yours, some shared assets and resources, or both. That can also happen, my lovely Geminis. Now, my dear Cancerians, Cancer rising here as well, yay! You've got the eclipse happening in your 7th house of partnerships and marriage and business partners as well. So it seems to me, Cancers, that you are completing a transformative chapter in your partnership sector. You may have had to work much harder to maintain partnerships in since 2018 than you've had to do like at any other point in your life. And a lot of Cancerians have actually tied the knot in this time frame, because what bigger commitment is there than marriage? I mean, there might be some bigger ones as well, but like I can't think of them right now. It's also very possible that your view of partnerships and your expectations of partnerships have evolved. They have changed. I would really like you at this time to set some new intentions for your partnership, for the future. Maybe start working together on something. Maybe start investing time, resources, money in something together. And start planning for the future together, because if you have survived all of this rocky period, my lovely Cancerians, if you are still committed to your partner and they are still committed to you, you're probably going to be with them for like decades to come, possibly the rest of your life. So just thought I'd put it out there. My lovely Leos, Leo suns and Leo risings. The eclipse is happening in your 6th house of day-to-day work and health. If you've been having any sort of health-related issues, and I always like, I'm holding myself back generally from talking about health-related matters because I do not want anyone to kind of like overthink these things. But if you've been going through some testing times in the past 2 years in regards to your health, or if you've been going through a particularly testing time at work, you can consider the most challenging part of this chapter over. Now, there may be one last surprise. You might have someone working with you or working for you leaving and kind of leaving you out to dry. And there is one last push. There may be one last challenge for you to figure out work-wise. But I do feel like you're gonna treat this with like a great deal of like professionalism and responsibility, and you are going to step up. And you're going to take the responsibility upon you, Leo, and solve this unexpected surprise happening in the workplace. And it's actually probably going to help propel you higher up in your career. So whatever seems to be like a pain in the, my dear Leos, work-wise, it can actually work very, very much in your favor. Now, my lovely Virgos, Virgo risings and Virgo suns. The eclipse is happening in your 5th house in Capricorn. I gotta say, Virgos, I actually know a few Virgo risings who've been having a bit of a tough time romantically. It felt like no one was right for them, or they couldn't find like joy and like pleasure and satisfaction in like spending time with the loved one, or it just felt like their relationships are never going to work, and they may have felt like very despondent from a romantic point of view. Well, Virgos, hang on in there, because this is also coming to an end. And I also have to say, it is very possible for those of you who are in a romantic relationship that was kind of like, maybe not 100% there. People, Virgos, this person might completely like be eclipsed out of your life at this time if they are not meant for you. I've got two like completely unrelated, but yes, this is a rose quartz and this is amethyst, and I'm just playing around with my stones because why not? I love them, by the way. These are two of my favorite stones. So, Virgos, are you still listening? At the same time, if the person who you are with, my lovely Virgos, is committed to you, it is very likely that you might take the romantic relationship to the next step. Now, it is also possible if you've been working in the creative industries, or if you have any sort of like artistic kind of like passion that you spend a lot of time on, it is very possible that you may be completing a creative work around this time. And the feedback that you're going to get from the world, Virgos, is going to be very, very, very positive. So keep on working, keep on pushing. You might feel tired. You might feel like you want to give up. No, don't give up. Please push for it. And show the world your creations, because the world wants to see your creations, Virgos. Now, if you are a Libra, Libra suns and Libra risings, the lunar eclipse is happening in your 4th house of home and family and residence. Now, some Libras are going to move around this time, or there may be There may be some secrets coming out from their like family, from their past, or related to their family, to their past, coming to the surface. And some of these might be painful, but they are necessary in order for you to heal and in order for you to move on with your life, my dear Libras. Also, I know, Libras, you've been like heavily hit in terms of like your residence and your home and your family for the past 2 years, since 2018. You can consider this to be the last stretch. So don't lose hope. Absolutely do not lose hope. You're gonna come out of this stronger and more resilient than ever, Libras, I have to say. Now, if you are, who do we have here? Max is making an appearance. So if you have a Scorpio sun or a Scorpio rising, the lunar eclipse is happening in your 3rd house of communication, of sales, of transportation, of short trips, of siblings. It is very possible, Scorpios, that if you've got siblings, I gotta say, they might surprise you with some completely sudden, out of the blue news. It may like take you by complete surprise. But it's likely a piece of news that's going to bring you joy in your life. It could be that one of your siblings is like completing an important chapter in their life. It may also be that you, my lovely Scorpios, are completing a very important learning phase in your life in which you've had to pick up very practical skills since 2018. So I would say, I know you're depleted of energy, and I know it's been tough, it's been hard, it's been like stretching your mind dramatically, but it is something that you are going to reap the rewards of for years to come. So if you've got like an exam coming up, if you've got any sort of test, if you have to prove that you have actually learned whatever it is that you were meant to learn, keep on pushing yourself. It's almost there. You're getting there. Now, if you are a Sagittarius, my lovely Sagittarian suns and Sagittarian risings, the lunar eclipse is happening in your 2nd house in Capricorn. It's possible that an existing source of income is either drying up, I gotta say, because lunar eclipses bring with them endings, but it is also very possible, if you've been working on a specific project work-wise, that you may be paid handsomely for it. And I have to say, since 2018, you have been really tested in your confidence and your sense of self-worth, and what you bring to the table in the world, my dear Sagittarians, has been heavily tested. It's like, what are you worth? What can you do for the rest of us? Is your confidence and sense of self-esteem strong enough to tackle whatever challenges life may throw your way? And I have to say, initially it might not have been, but throughout consistent work since 2018, it may feel right now that you have finally proven yourself, Sagittarians. Last but not least, I gotta say, if you've proven yourself, then this might also come with a new job offer or like a very exciting piece of news related to your work. It may be that now that you've learned and you've proven yourself and you know you can do it, you know that you've got what it takes, there might be like a new contract coming your way. There might be like an important like project that is coming your way that you're finally ready to deal with it. Natalie's asking what happened in 2018. Seems like things went downhill at the time. So at the end of 2017, beginning of 2018, we had Saturn going into Capricorn, and now we've got this like party or whatever you want to call it in Capricorn with like Jupiter and Pluto there as well. So that's what's basically happening. It's like the structures of the world are shaking because Capricorn is structure. My lovely Capricorns, if you're a Capricorn sun or a Capricorn rising, the eclipse is happening in your sign. So if anyone's going to be the most challenged and the most tested, guess who's going to be that person? Yes, it is going to be you again, lovely Capricorns. You've been dealing with so much pressure, and you've been dealing with so much tension in your head, so much pressure on your shoulders, so many responsibilities, so many external pushes from the outside world to step up your game, to become better, to show your full potential. Since 2018, you've been really pushed to prove yourself and to show that you've got what it takes. So Capricorns, you can start breathing easily after this eclipse, but there may be one less test. There may be one last push asking you to prove yourselves, asking you to take one final responsibility, asking you to grow even faster and in a certain direction more than you've grown in the past couple of years. But I gotta say, you're feeling more confident than ever right now because you've gone through so many intense tests that now it's like, whatever comes my way, I'm ready for it. By the way, the eclipse is very nicely aspected by Neptune in your 3rd house and by Uranus in your 5th house. And Uranus is the ruler of your sense of self-worth. And with Neptune in your 3rd house, it's like you are receiving support from people around you. You are receiving support from your colleagues. You are receiving support from your family, from your community, from your mates. You're also receiving a lot of support from the person who is there for you, who loves you, and who's there to support you unconditionally. And you might be incredibly surprised because you do not expect people, Capricorns, to support you unconditionally. So there you go. Now, my Aquarius brothers and sisters, if you are an Aquarius sun or an Aquarius rising, the lunar eclipse is happening in our 12th house in the sign of Capricorn, obviously. And we are completing a cycle of leaving behind parts of us that no longer serve us, leaving behind old structures in our lives that no longer serve us, leaving behind even past achievements, things that we've worked really hard to accomplish, things that we've put a lot of sweat and blood and tears into bringing into our lives and manifesting into our lives. And now it's like whatever's happening in the universe is saying, you know what, Aquarius, you need to let go of all of this because it's no longer part of your path. And you might be no, I want to pull my hair out. But it's important to go with the flow. And whatever is meant to stop being a part of your life should stay in the past. The eclipse is very nicely aspected, by the way, my lovely Aquarius brothers and sisters, by Neptune and Pisces in our 2nd house. Our 2nd house has to do with self-worth and values, but also money. And I gotta say, it could be that you may have proven to yourself that you've got the capacity to manifest money and to earn it, because the 2nd house is the house of earned income, in a way that you did not think yourself capable of. And now that you've proven that to yourself, you're like, you know what? I do not need to rely on all of these additional sudden move in your house. My lovelies, tell me what's happening. Are you moving houses, or are you receiving news from your family that something is ending in your family, in your home? I don't know. You tell me. By the way, peeps, I am going to respond to some of your questions, but after I go through all the signs. So don't think that I'm ignoring you, because I'm absolutely not ignoring you. Now, last but not least, my lovely Pisceans, Pisces suns and Pisces risings. The lunar eclipse is happening in your 11th house of long-term plans and dreams. It looks like one of your goals is completed. It looks like you are reaching the end. You are reaching the pinnacle of one of your goals, of your dreams, of something that you've planned for a very long time in your life. And you've got enough reason to feel proud of it And also, it looks like you know where you need to take this goal or like another goal in order to evolve it. So how you can take it to the next level. It looks like you're receiving insight as to who you need to connect with, what else you need to learn, who you need to speak to. If you are in the business of selling anything, my dear Pisces, it may, or if you have been thinking of like selling something, you may be finally like completing that sale, because we've got Uranus in your third house, which is also associated with sales. That is aspecting the eclipse. So that is it, my lovelies. Now, by the way, if you want me to like really like to make sure that I can see your question, because there's a lot of questions from what I can tell on both Instagram and YouTube, you can go onto YouTube and send me a super chat, so it all comes up highlighted. Dun, 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 dun. Aquarius, we've got a lot of Aquarius suns here. We've got Capricorn suns. We've got Scorpio moons. You're most welcome, Sarah. It was my pleasure. Oh, things are going to get better. Things are absolutely going to get better. So have faith in that. I know it might not feel like it right now. I know it might feel like you are losing all hope right now, but things will absolutely get better. When does the Sagittarius love curse end? It is ending. It is ending. Don't you worry. Don't you worry, Tor. It's coming to an end. Libra Rising. Bina, you're asking me about improvement in your career since no progress is happening. Well, Bina, if you're a Libra Rising, it means that since 2018, the focus has been heavily on your house of home and family and private life. So after that chapter is complete, you could say that it will make room for like new things in your life. And I gotta say, the eclipse happening right now, Bina, whatever is happening in your life, in your home life, it's making room for you to start hustling career-wise and take on new opportunities or like apply for like a new job. So things are moving in the right direction work-wise for Libra Risings. Libra business, is it going to be okay? Well, it depends what your business is doing. In the next year and a half, so from May this year till January 2022, gosh, we are in 2020. Businesses that have an e-commerce side to them, or that are focused on learning and studying some practical skills, or that have a delivery / transport component to them, or that have a networking component to them, are probably going to go through the roof, because we've got the transiting North Node going through Gemini, which rules all of these fields. How does Uranus affect Libras? My lovely Libras, Uranus is currently in Taurus in your 8th house, so it is very, very possible that in the years to come, you will be going through an internal revolution on a psychological level. So until 2026, you may go through like a complete enlightenment, but it's happening on the inside. And I also have to say, Libras, you might receive a hell of a lot of unexpected gifts and possibly even an inheritance in the next years until 2026, whilst Uranus is in your 8th house. Let's see. Marjorie is saying that eclipses don't seem to affect her at all. Well, what I want you guys to be very aware of and conscious of is, as I said, whatever's happening right now at the eclipse time, I urge you to keep it in mind, right? I urge you to kind of like observe what's happening around you and maybe even keep track of it like through a journal, maybe write down, and then keep an eye out on the themes that are unfolding in your life in the months to come, because we feel the effect of the eclipse for at least the next 6 months, if not the next year. So it might feel like, yeah, nothing's happening around us, but it's actually the seeds that are getting planted, and then they are slowly growing and developing over the next few months. James, that is so not true. James has 5 planets in Scorpio, and he's saying that nobody likes him. I'm telling you, James, like, you are probably very skeptical with all those 5 planets in Scorpio. You have to give people some more credit. Okay, so work-related issues for Virgos. This is coming from Lydia on Instagram. Let's see. I gotta say, nothing's really happening in your work sector, my dear Virgos. The eclipse is happening in your 5th house of true love and creativity and creative projects and romance. It's aspected by Neptune in your 7th house of partnerships, and Uranus in your 9th house of like higher mind and traveling. So I gotta say, work is not it. Virgos, like, I know you're thinking about work all the time, but there's not much happening right now in that specific sector. You've already got a lot unfolding there. Andre, thank you for the super chat. Leo rising, and you've got Mars, Venus, and Jupiter in Leo, but the planets are listed as being in your 12th house due to the degrees. Okay, so if that is the case, then I would say you have to look into your chart to see where the eclipse is happening, Andre. So you're probably using Placidus to read your natal chart, and that's absolutely fine. Check to see where 13 degrees of Capricorn is in your chart. And if it's in the 6th house, then whatever I said for Leo applies. If it's in the 5th house, then you could say that this eclipse is putting your love life in the spotlight, and you are either like taking a romantic relationship to the next level, or you are kind of like shifting your perspective around romance, or you are completing an important creative project. So I urge you to look at where 13 degrees of Capricorn falls in your chart in order to know exactly where the eclipse is happening for you. Mariana's asking, is it okay to make major decisions during eclipses? That's a really good question. I've actually made a very major decision in my life around at the previous eclipse in Cancer around the 21st of June. I usually say, if it's something that's been on your mind for some time, and if it's something that you've given it significant thought, then whatever happens at eclipse time might accelerate your timeline, or might shed light on what you've been thinking already as to, okay, my mind was in the right place, or it wasn't really in the right place. So eclipses should actually put things into focus. And then you can get some clarity around, okay, this is the right way, or this is not necessarily the right way. But don't make like major drastic decisions, especially when like Mercury's in retrograde, and especially when we've got like so many planets in retrograde, like we do this month, and like we do actually until like September-ish. Unless it's something that you've been thinking about doing for a long time. If it's something that's been on your mind for a long time, then yes, go for it. But if it's not, I would say, wait a little bit for the dust to settle. Okay, what else? Let's see. Thank you for the super chat, Constantine. Trildy, thank you for the super chat. MC and Aries, nice. Pluto at 29 degrees of Libra, Mercury at 26 degrees of Capricorn, and North Node in Cancer. Okay. Oh dear. I'm really curious to hear what your Trildy, what is your rising sign? It looks like this eclipse you could say that your midheaven in Aries is probably going to be the most aspected by the eclipse, my dear Trilby. And all right, guys, give me 1 second. Okay. Bear with me. Bear with me. Leo. So your rising sign is in Leo. Brilliant. So in that case, as I said, the eclipse is aspecting heavily your work life and your place and status in the world. Are you leaving a job? Are you thinking of leaving a job? Are you thinking of like pushing your career to the next level? You might feel around this time, Trilby, that you're getting much more clarity as to what you should be doing professionally and whether you are in the right place as we speak or not. Whether your talents and skills are in the right place or not really. I would say. And there can be some unexpected news from work as well that, as I said, may accelerate your timeline, or they may give you an indication as to what is the next step in regards to your work life and your career life. If something very dramatic happens in your work life, Trilby, I gotta say, you might reconsider your career altogether, and that's absolutely fine, because this is an enlightening period. What resources can we use to better understand the importance of degrees? That's a question that's coming from Natalie. Okay, so I have to say, I look at something that is called the decans for degrees in particular. So from like the 1st till the 10th degree, you say that a planet is in the 1st decan. From the 10th till the 20th, it's in the 2nd decan. And from the 21st till the 29th, it's in the 3rd decan. I think I said that correctly. Anyway, like, each sign has 30 degrees, right? And we divide them into 3 decans, and they're all equal. This is how I use degrees in astrology. And I also look at planets at 0 degrees and at 29 degrees because they are considered to be critical degrees. But other than that, I don't really dive that much more into degrees. Obviously, degrees are important for the sake of aspects, so that's how we calculate aspects. But I'm afraid I don't have any specific resource or like book to recommend in that particular area. I know there are astrologers who work very, very much with degrees. I work with them, as I said, in terms of decans and in terms of aspects and critical degrees. That's about it. Hit like, y'all. Thank you, Angie. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Tunda is asking, Cancer Sun, Taurus Moon, Virgo Rising, what's happening? Just going back to work after being home with 4 kids the last 4 years. So much has changed. So it makes sense. You are completing a chapter, Tunde, that has to do with your children, because the eclipse is falling in your 5th house, which is the house of children. So now you're ready to step into the next chapter of your life, my dear Tunde, and obviously, like, your children are going to be like a major priority for you, but now you can focus on something else, and hopefully your partner is supportive, because that's what it looks like. Thank you for the super chat, Stanley. Oh my gosh, that is like such a party in the 12th house for you. You're probably psychic, I have to say, and you probably read the minds of anyone and everyone, and you were probably I want to say, from like previous incarnations, very enlightened from a spiritual point of view. But you like to keep to yourself, don't you? Yeah? No? Tell me. Is it true? Thank you for this super chat, my dear Maria. Sun 26 degrees of Gemini. Pisces rising. Cancer moon. Nice. So with Pisces rising, my dear Maria, you're probably finalizing a specific vision of yours. You are finalizing a certain plan that you've had, that you've worked for, that you've put a lot of energy into. It's coming to a close, and you might feel very energized about it, because now you're like, okay, I know how I can move on to the next step. I know what I need to do, next. You can feel very emotional, Maria, because you are, as I said, leaving behind a dream of yours, and something that you may have put a lot of time and energy into. So it's okay to feel emotional about it. It's absolutely fine. Hi, Vicky. Thank you for the super chat, Owl Girl. It is much, much, much appreciated. Like these actually keep me going, guys. Cassie's got a party in her 12th house as well. Yeah, you guys, of course you're here. 12th house people, and people with a lot of planets in like the 12th, the 8th, Scorpio, Pisces, and Aquarius usually find themselves being very interested in astrology. How to deal, Angela's asking, how to deal with a grand cross, Cancer rising opposing Neptune and Capricorn, Sun in Aries, Libra, Moon. Dear Angela, like the Grand Cross is a make it or break it pattern, and it is activated by the eclipse. It looks like you've got like, what is your talent? What do you do best, or what do you want to change in the world? Where do you think your skills can be used best in this lifetime? If you do not find an outlet for your skills and for your potential, it's really gonna like eat at your soul. Thank you for the super chat, Juanita. Capricorn Sun, Cancer Ascendant, Pisces Moon, Venus in Aquarius, North Node in Gemini, South Node in Sagittarius. My thoughts, you're new. Oh, thank you. Thank you for joining. So it looks like this eclipse is activating your first house, 7th house axis. So it's activating your house of identity, and also it's activating your house of partnerships. Are you finalizing a specific chapter in terms of your committed partnerships, my dear Juanita? Have you been working really hard in the past 2 years, since 2018, to develop a partnership? Have you committed to someone in particular? Have you evolved your idea of what a partnership should look like in the past 2 years? I want to say, it looks like it. It seems like it. It may have been very emotionally draining for you, but you're coming out of it much better prepared on how to deal with partnerships and how to build relationships for the future. And with a Gemini South Node, I gotta say, in the next year and a half, Juanita, till January 2022, it looks like you're probably gonna start learning, like, or practicing a type of like spiritual practice or activity that you have been practicing in a past life as well. It's something that you're kind of like your higher self is remembering, and it can have a lot to do with studying a certain like spiritual occult practice, Juanita. Mashawn, thank you for the super chat. Libra Rising, Pisces Sun, Capricorn Moon. All these transits in the 4th house are making you nuts. I know, I can imagine. Any advice on how to stay sane? Well, I gotta say, I do have, I always have advice, obviously. Michonne, work out. Do you work out? Do you have like a physical outlet for all the energy, emotional, physical, karmic energy coursing through you right now? Let off some steam. I would suggest working out. It can be light activities. It can be yoga. It could be swimming. Spending time in the water, by the water, is probably going to be very soothing for you. And another piece of advice on how to stay sane: look after your body. Feed it properly. Take care of it. Introduce healthy habits into your life. That's my advice, peeps. People on Instagram, we are about to jump off the live, as I said, but I'm still live on YouTube, so if you want, you can come over on Written in the Stars and stick around for a little bit for the rest of this live stream. Someone's asking, should we be manifesting during an eclipse? I mean, I say always manifest things. I say at the lunar eclipse, because the lunar eclipse is an ending, manifest something that you want to get rid of in your life. Manifest it away, kind of like block it out of your life. That would be the way I would look at it. Yeah, I know they say that the energy at eclipse time is very unstable, but it's also very powerful. So if you feel up for it, I would say do it. By the way, peeps, if you want to get an in-depth overview of the months and year to come for yourself, feel free to get in touch to book a reading with me, because that is one of the services that I offer. And I've left the link to my website in the description box to this video and to all my other videos. And like, I do yearly forecasts, I do love and relationships readings, I do readings that are focused on career and education and growth, natal chart readings, obviously, that look at like the most emphasized themes in your life. And I also do customized readings. So if you've got like a set of questions that you want me to answer, get in touch and I can like answer very specific questions for you. So there you go. Candace is asking what aspects are affected by the lunar eclipse. So I would say there aren't like specific aspects that are affected by the lunar eclipses. There is a certain axis in your chart that is affected. So eclipses and like lunar and full moons, because a lunar eclipse is a full moon. In essence, they act on a certain axis in like two opposing houses, because in one house we've got the moon, and opposite the moon in the complete opposite house we've got the sun. So this is what is affected at a lunar eclipse and at full moons in general. Misha's asking, when do the rewards from this lunar eclipse begin to come in? I'm gonna be very frank with you people. Most likely from after, I would say, Saturn goes direct after the 29th of September. That would be the way I would look at it. So things might be a little bit rocky up until then. What are the best ways to further an astrology education, and what type of school did I go to for astrology? So this is actually a really good question. I'm probably going to do a different video for it, but to end it off on a high, by the way, this is tropical Western astrology. It is not Vedic astrology, in case anyone had any specific doubt. I would say the best way is to start studying by yourself, and then when you feel ready, when you have like a certain kind of like foundation, you can go to an astrology school, or you can start off from like the very, very basics. If you prefer like someone explaining things to you and you do not enjoy studying by yourself, because I realize it's not as engaging as like bouncing off ideas with someone and having someone who can like answer specific questions and go into details. I would say you can start off with taking like webinars and courses from different astrologers, and that's actually something that I am currently working on developing myself. So to those of you who are interested in learning astrology, stay tuned and watch this space, because I will be releasing an astrology course very soon for beginners, but like it's also a foundational course, so you don't have to be an absolute beginner, but you can also start from the very scratch. It's kind of like you're going to be refreshing your own knowledge. So I would say start off with like a few classes and courses. If you really want to go very in depth, you could go to a school of astrology, such as the one that I went to, the Faculty of Astrological Studies in London, which is one of the oldest astrology schools, if I'm not mistaken, in Europe, or actually in the world. It could be in the world. So that's the way I would do it. If you love more of a hands-on approach to learning, you can take a mentor, such as myself, and you can do one-to-one classes with them. But a lot of it, and I cannot stress this enough, start buying astrology books and start reading for yourself. And then you can get into the nitty gritty and you can start working with an astrologer and do more of a deep dive. Yay! Thank you, Candace. I will start teaching. It is something that's been on my mind for quite some time, and it's something that I will be releasing, as I said, in the next months. So stay tuned. I want to get this right. Talia, thank you for the super chat. Scorpio Sun, Libra Moon, Pisces Rising, Midheaven Sag. You've been studying astrology a lot. Somehow you always end up staying up late studying. Yes, I completely relate to that. Once you start getting into astrology, and it's something that's absolutely like blowing your mind. And I gotta say, obviously for you, it like makes so much sense with that midheaven in Sagittarius that wants to like expand. Scorpio Sun that wants to understand why people act the way they act. Like, what the hell is the matter with them? And Pisces Rising, very like drawn to viewing the world through a spiritual lens. Makes total sense why you've been drawn to astrology. Yay! People, thank you so much for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always. I was actually in a bit of a funny mood before I joined the live stream, and you have managed to cheer me up as always. I cannot thank you enough. Like, I'm gonna get all emotional. And stay tuned. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and on Facebook. And I also have a community on Facebook, a Facebook group, the Written in the Stars community that you can also join and connect with like-minded people and ask us questions and start off debates and all of that. So join us. Last but not least, if you haven't subscribed, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you will be notified whenever I go live. Hang on in there, peeps. I will see you next week. Bye.